I am representing today as the president of Oregon Association of the Deaf, which means I represent the body of 186,000 individuals with hearing loss in the state. And most of those live here in Portland. So I really want to focus on that population with mental health issues, which we need to include really as part of this process. For example, there's a deaf woman. She has post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and is also in a domestic violence relationship. The police were called to the house, and they asked the husband, who is the perpetrator, to interpret the conversation between the police and the victim. That's the first part of that story. There's another situation of a Black deaf woman who is unable to read or write in English and who has a developmental disability with additional health issues. Her access to services and communication to be able to understand what's happening was denied because she didn't have the ability to understand. So her understanding was completely excused. So those are the kind of things that we experience every day in this state, not only in the state, but nationally. Often, when we're being arrested as deaf individuals, we are arrested with our hands behind our back. So we're unable to sign, which means we can't communicate with the interpreters. So I just want you to understand what's been happening and what we are facing. The police lack training and they lack policies. And the police in Portland, there was one situation where the police were sued over 2 years ago. As a result of that suit against the police hastily wrote a directive. Directive 640.36, and that's communication with people with disabilities. That directive was half-assed, was really written half-assed, and the police did not include the community. They did not ask us for our input. They did not work with the deaf and hard of hearing communities at all. And half of the report, we see ourselves, in that report, we see ourselves as victims again. In a situation where we deal with the police. Research shows that mental health in the deaf community is proportionally higher than in the average community or hearing communities. So I was wondering if you could help us address that need. If you recognize that need, and you recognize that we can have an earlier conversation, like before you mentioned the word minority, and you prefer to focus on racial and ethnic populations, or if you look at the linguist, or if you would consider including linguistic, cultural, or individuals that represent, or individuals with different backgrounds. Often I feel that the deaf community is not thought about, and that American Sign Language isn't thought about, and that is a primary mode of communication for many people. Should I stop? In our community, there are more deaf individuals that are coming from different backgrounds, a variety of backgrounds. Not only white, but many deaf individuals are from different backgrounds and of different races and experience 4 or 5 or 6 different oppressed, or members of 4 or 5 different oppressed groups. And there's continual oppression against them. And there's continual band-aiding of this problem, and it hasn't really been addressed, the true problem. So that's where it needs to stop. And really, we need to address it fully. Thank you.